What's happening, Bills Mafia? Ryan Thomas here on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast, live on Facebook, YouTube, and anywhere you listen to any of your podcasts. Of course, this is the second week in a row that we're bringing you the show in a little bit of a different way. This is a collaboration between myself and 24/7 Buffalo Fandemonium. Scott and Swank are not with us today, but myself and Jared. Jared, welcome back to the Thomas Take 24/7 Buffalo collab. Happy to have you back on.
I'm happy to be here talking about Buffalo Bills football.
We're
going to talk about
Of
that
course, as always.
running back room today.
running back room today.
Yes, we are, and we're doing it with somebody that knows a thing or two about playing the running back position, and not only playing the running back position, but playing the running back position wearing the red, white, and Buffalo Bills blue. We got our guy Nate Turner joining us on the show, former Buffalo Bill. How's it going, Nate?
All right, man. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. I'm really excited to chat with you today. We're going to be talking about a lot of awesome topics pertaining to our Buffalo Bills, as well as some stuff that you're doing in your community that's very important. I'm all about paying it forward. I'm all about passing the torch, instilling wisdom, instilling knowledge. You're doing that. We're going to touch on all of that throughout this show, and I know that the Bills Mafia is really excited for this. So let's get right to it. We got the 2023 season, the 2023 NFL Draft, the biggest part of the offseason, fast approaching, and that's a big deal as far as how these teams get better, of course. But we're talking about the running back room first and foremost, and it's all about who we have currently, right? That's who you like to look at. That's who we like to look at, and how this Bills team can get from point A to point B with these guys. Nate, to start off with you, what are your thoughts on the running back room currently as it looks? We have James Cook, Damian Harris, and of course Nyheim Hines on the roster. What are your thoughts on the state of the current running back room of the Buffalo Bills heading into 2023?
And you forgot Reggie Gilman.
Reggie Gilliam, the fullback.
Hey, fullbacks have to stick up for other fullbacks, man.
Fullback, tight end, so to speak. Yeah,
Right.
Fullbacks matter, so yeah, definitely got to throw him in there, right?
Right. And it looks like we might get a chance. If the kid falls far enough. The kid from Texas. We might have a chance to draft him.
Right. Now, and I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up, Nate, because that's been a talking point. You know, the Bills beat shows, right, Jared? Like Steve Tasker, Chris Brown, they've been talking about whether or not the Bills should draft him if he does fall to the Bills, because the Bills have invested in this position. You have James Cook, a second-round draft pick last year, Damian Harris, a new free agent, and they just traded last season for Nyheim Hines. So, Nate, I got to ask you, if Bijan Robinson did fall to the Buffalo Bills, if you were running the show, if you were the GM of the Buffalo Bills, would you take him?
Yes. He's different.
Yes.
He's different. If this was...
What makes you say that?
15 years ago, he'd be a top 5 pick.
If this was 15 years ago, he'd be a top 5 pick.
I agree.
I agree. Honestly,
honestly,
you don't need a running back.
You don't need a running back
until you don't have one. So that ends up being the situation where we as a group have become.
Deep pause.
Yeah, I got some pause on that. I heard him say 10 to 15 years ago that he would be a top 5 pick. I agree with him. He would be a top 5 pick for certain if in fact he was drafted in this or in the last generation rather too. And so we had you on pause there for a second.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
We had a little bit of a delay. Sorry about that. But you said in terms of Bijan, of course, 15 years ago, he'd be a top 5 pick. What do you like about his game? What do you like about his skill set? You said he's different. What makes him different?
His balance, his acceleration. He can catch the ball. He's a 3-down back. You wouldn't have to change him out.
He's a 3-down back. You wouldn't have to change him out.
Hines.
And those guys are rare, obviously, in today's day and age, right?
Hines comes in and past situations, but that everybody knows what's coming. You know what I mean? If you got a guy that's in there on first down and in there on third down, you can make some things shake now.
That's for certain. Jared, what are your thoughts on that in terms of Bijan?
They got from New England.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He does that. But he's not as dynamic as the kid from Texas. So yeah, we need that kid from Texas.
Where do you think he's going to go? Obviously, it's well known around the draft circles that, he's a different caliber of player, and he's probably the best running back that the NFL draft has seen in probably the last 5, maybe even 10 years.
Right.
Where do you think he's going to go in terms of the projections? It seems like it's kind of scattered across the board.
Some people say Dallas. They need a back now. You know what I mean? But we need one too. You know what I mean? So forget Dallas. I hate Dallas. I've always hated Dallas. I've hated Dallas for a whole lot of years. So they don't need anything.
For obvious reasons, right?
Right.
It's pretty obvious, right?
Very obvious.
Very obvious. Right. It's not just the star on the helmet. There's a lot more to it than that, right?
No, it's the blood that goes through their veins. I do not like Dallas.
I like that. I like that. Enough said. Mic drop. Show over.
Right.
That's all we needed. So you did touch on this, and Jared and I have talked about this off the air in discussions, and we talked about it on the air too. And Jared, I want to, kind of kick it back to you. In terms of, the state of the running back position, I'll get both of your thoughts on this. The state of the running back position now, as Nate just stated, that, Bijan would be a top 5, top 10 pick if this was 15 years ago. To me, it seems like there are a select few bell cow running backs, but back in, Nate's playing era, you had a handful of bell cow running backs, Thurman Thomas being one of them, of course. What do you guys, I'll start with Jared on this, we'll kick it to him, and then we'll kick it to you, Nate. What are your thoughts on, Jared, your assessment of the running back position in today's day and age? Is it devalued more than it should be?
That's a funny slope you can go down very fast. I mean, you'll have Tennessee Titans. They got Derrick Henry. Runs over everybody, gets the ball all the time. And they don't win. And then you have to have, I think, in this day and age, a good balance in the run game and receiving the ball. Or have multiple backs in your backfield that can either run the ball and then be switched out to catch the ball with a different player. So back then, you used to have running backs getting the ball 20, 25 times a game. Multiple running backs in the league. Now you're lucky to see 3 a week in this NFL.
Yeah, I agree. Nate, what are your thoughts on that? Rob Mullen chimes in. He says it's been a running back by committee league for at least a decade now.
Like somebody said, they just put on, text in. There's been running back by committee for a few years now. And it's because of the beating that the running back takes. It's hard to keep a guy healthy for a whole year. So you got to have another guy that's equal to that guy. At least close to, or at least somebody that's a thunder and a lightning, or at least it's got to be something. You have to do something. A thunder and a lightning. But I think nowadays it's hard to come by, and we just not as it's hard to come by, and we just not as just the way it works, man. These kids have gotten so big and so strong on defense. They put a pound in on some people, man. And it takes a lot to stay healthy. And so you got to have more than one. If you don't have more than one, and then if you got more than one, you're not going to, nobody wants to just sit. So you got to implement them and have, one guy hits his package, this guy has his package, and then they kind of work it like that. Everybody's not Derrick Henry, you know what I mean? Who's an animal, a beast. So that's one. It's one beast and a bunch of guys that are 5'11", 219 pounds. You know what I mean? They're almost cookie cut. All these guys in the league. You know, you're not going to
in
have
terms of
some super fast guy, you know what I mean, doing one thing. You know what I mean, you have another back that gets the short yardage goal line stuff. You know what I mean? It's just it's a weird time in football for the running back, and then we're not making any money either. Because of that fact.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so everybody, you got guys that have been playing running back since they were a kid. And this is honest speaking, man. Honest talk. A kid will see that, and if he has someone in his life that's intelligent, they will push him to play linebacker.
True.
And he might have all the talent in the world, be a great running back, but he'll end up playing linebacker because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a life lesson out
that's
there
a really
that
good point.
there's always going to
You
be
brought
somebody.
up the next, kind of took the words out of my mouth a little bit in terms of the next point.
There's a life lesson out there that there's always going to be somebody. Are we good?
Yeah, yep, Scott, Jared, you can go.
Okay.
Might have been a little bit of a delay there.
All right, like a life lesson, like you're always taught that you can be strong, but there's somebody out there that's stronger than you. You know, you can be fast, but there's always someone out there that's faster than you. With the running backs coming up from college now and in the NFL, and like you were alluding to, with the kids knowing that don't go for running back anymore, go for linebacker or receiver. The running backs are going to be coming in saying, hey, you're good for 3 or 4 years, but there's someone coming right behind you that'll be cheaper and just as talented as you. So if you want to have a running back career, it's going to be 5 years, and that's it.
Yeah, they were talking about that kid from Texas.
Right.
It was like,
yeah,
it makes sense to get him on his rookie deal because if he burns out, he burns out before the rookie deal's over. He burns out before the rookie deal's over.
Right.
So, and it all depends on how to use them. You know, you
Yeah.
got in Buffalo, you got Josh, you got a bunch of other stuff they do. So you're not going to get, reps like in college where they just running the ball. You know what I mean? You're going to have time to pass block, and that's another thing. If you can't pass block, you're not going to play. That's the first thing I learned in the NFL. If you get Jim Kelly hit, you will be on the bus. Going home. You know, so rule number one, protect Jim Kelly.
Protect Jim Kelly and protect Josh Allen now. Right? That's the goal. That's the goal. Protect Josh Allen.
So that hasn't changed. So I guarantee you get Josh Allen hit in practice or something like that, you're empty. Your locker will be empty when you get back.
Oh man, I agree. Unfortunately, I agree.
No, it's a fact. I've seen
it is a fact. It is a fact. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something you've probably seen from experience, of course, just around the league as well. So yeah, definitely, I feel I agree with a lot of what you're saying, Nate. The one point you brought up, Nate, that I definitely want more of your thoughts on. It seems like, a lot of these elite running backs, Austin Eckler being one of them, he wants to get paid, and rightfully so. I mean, this guy's been one of the best running backs, maybe the best running back. He can make a case for that over the course of the last few years as a pass-catching back in today's era. And being so efficient the way that he's been, he wants more money. Where now a lot of these running backs are coming together that are elite, and they're saying, well, maybe we shouldn't sign long-term deals initially in our prime years. Maybe we should sign short-term deals for more money so that we're getting paid in our prime rather than not. What are your thoughts on that in terms of the structure of contracts? Right.
But everybody doesn't have the ability to do that, though.
Mm-hmm.
You get a kid like myself, you get a 6th-round pick. You're going to say, I want a long-term deal. You're going to get what they give you. It's like, you know what I mean? You're going to get what you get. Unless you're a first-round guy or second-round guy, you're going to get what you get.
Yeah, that's so true. Now, you touched on Josh Allen. You kind of touched on what we talked about the running back room a little bit. We'll go back to that momentarily, but in order to talk about like the present and the future of the Bills, unfortunately, we got to revisit the past. Even though the past can be painful, we got to revisit it. And the past being thoughts on how last season ended. I'm dying to get your take on how last season ended for the Buffalo Bills with an at-home loss at the hands of the Cincinnati Bengals. Just from your perspective, Nate, as a former player, former Buffalo Bill, what were your thoughts on how last season ended? What makes you believe the Bills came up short?
Nate, can I jump in here really quick?
I
think he's paused.
He's paused. Man, we're getting some internet issues today, unfortunately, but we're
when
working
Nate
through
gets
it.
back on, let's see if he has his volume on. What he's listening to, because I think that's causing an echo.
Yeah, I'm not getting an echo.
Okay.
I'm just getting I'm getting a real bad delay sometimes. Not often.
Yeah, we got bad
storms going on here.
Yeah, no problem. We'll work through it.
So my thoughts about last year.
Yeah, your thoughts about last season.
We were emotionally spent.
Mm-hmm.
You think about the whole year. Think about the shooting. You think about just the whole year. It's a lot of emotions, man. It's a lot of emotions. And then number 3 going down the way he went down. It's just a lot of emotions. When you high and low. And it's tough to bring it back. To bring it back to where you need to be. Even though everybody's professional, I get it, but that's a lot. Especially with Damar's situation. And people really don't talk about it. But that was devastating.
It was.
He died. You know what I mean? He died. And people don't talk about it, but you know what happens when you die, right? You defecate on yourself, you urinate on yourself. That's why they surrounded them so tight. It was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
It was horrible, man. It was horrible. So that and then for the simple fact that when he left the field, usually a guy give a thumbs up, as he leaves. He couldn't give a thumbs up. And so that just left everybody. There's no way they could finish that game. There's no way anybody could finish that game. And that took everything out of us. And granted, Damar was back in the stadium, and it was, It was a lot of emotion. But I just believe they were spent.
Now, as a former player, watching what happened with Damar Hamlin, what did that do to shake your core? It had to hit you differently,
to me,
just as much as it hit us.
Right when it happened. You don't realize what you're risking when you're playing until something like that happens. You don't realize you're risking your life. You know what I mean? And shame on the NFL with all these rules, roughing, hitting guys too hard, and this and that, taking guys out of games. Because I guarantee you, back when I was playing, that wouldn't have happened because Damar wouldn't have came in high. If it was Ronnie Lott would have lowered his head and kill a kid. You know what I mean? He wouldn't have caught him. He'd have tried to kill him. You know what I'm saying?
So that's just the difference in the game
nowadays.
Right. With one less finger, I threw that joke out there because we know what happened with that, right?
Right. Some people are just different like that.
Yes.
Ronnie Lott was different. But any of those guys, Henry Jones, I guarantee you, Henry wouldn't have came in like that. But the game has changed. You mess around and come in there like that, you out for the rest of you just hurt the team. You're going to end up out the game.
Right.
So you're losing protection of yourself to gain protection of the game. At least that's what I see.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's a fine line because, all these sports are going through it. Football, one rule you change, you got to change another one. It's almost, it causes like a ripple effect. We see that in football. We see that in baseball. They want to make the game as modern and as unique as they can to bring in new fans. But at the same time, you're taking away the essence of what the game is and what it was meant to be, right?
Did you see the new rules? You see the new rules?
Some of them. Not all of them. I know there's a lot. Yeah.
Like, instead of punting, you go with the whole, instead of punting, you can go for it. It's weird. It's like some type of...
you get like a second chance on fourth down after a review.
Eliminate the kick or something. There's some rule where you can... How can you eliminate punt or kickoff? How can you do that?
How can you eliminate punt or kickoff? How can you do that?
Steve Tasker wouldn't play.
They're trying to just eliminate the whole thing. Play. Yeah, it's a good point. We love Steve Tasker, right?
One of the best ever, right?
One of the best ever, right?
Yeah. What was it like, Nate? And I know Jared is dying to know this too. What was it like, Nate, for you being in that locker room with all those guys? I mean, that team was so loaded. It's one of the most loaded teams in the history of the league. I mean, what were your, looking back on it or being in it, like if you could take yourself back, what was that like for you, just being around all that talent on that one team?
My father, when I got drafted, he was like, you got your work cut out for you. They come up with Super Bowl. That's the hardest team to make.
Right.
So, I mean, playing with those guys, and the thing is, when I got there, they were already an older team, you know what I mean? And Marv was taking care of everybody. We had times where we were in training camp, and Marv was like, yep, let's go back to Buffalo, just out the blue, because James Lofton is walking a little slow, you know what I mean? So just to have those guys around and to learn the game from those guys gave me a different perspective of the game and how to play the game and how to prepare yourself. And so when I went to Carolina, it was shell shock, man. I didn't know what to do. Don Beebe and I were looking at each other like, what is going on, man? This is crazy. It was like going to high school.
And that was during their expansion season, right? That was their first season.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Frankie Reich was there too. And Pete Metzelaars.
And now Frank Reich the head man.
It was truly a blessing to look around. I remember the first time I got reps with the ones, you know what I mean? I'm looking at Jim Kelly and Andre Reed, Thurman Thomas, Kent Hall, Henry Ballard, you know what I mean? It's
loaded.
Buffalo Hall of Fame is all over the place. You know what I mean? And I played wide receiver in high school with Andre Reed. I'm like, it's Andre Reed. And then I'm here with them. I'm like, okay, I must be okay. I must be doing all right. But yeah, it was tough. You know what I mean? I played wing back in college and I learned they want me to play tight end, and I really couldn't. My arms are too short to deal with defensive end. If that makes sense. So they moved me to fullback, and then that was it. It was good from that point. But yeah, it was an awesome experience playing with those guys. Unbelievable to play with that many Hall of Fame type guys. And Steve Tasker is a Hall of Fame guy. I tell people this story all the time. I've seen at least three times in my years in Buffalo. I saw Steve Tasker catch the ball off of Chris Moore's foot in practice. Do you know how hard that is to do? Like not block the punt, catch the ball off of his foot as he's kicking. I tell people this too. Steve Tasker, and trust me, I played with Bruce and Cornelius, Thurman. Steve Tasker is probably the greatest football player I've ever seen. Like,
I've heard that from a few of you guys.
Get off of press coverage. You know what I mean? Steve Tasker used to get off double press coverage all the time and make plays. He's the great.
We had Andre last year now, and he talked about Steve Tasker and how he was on the teams like amoeba. He'll bend one way, get around the other guy, and on, and no one even touched him. So yeah,
unbelievable. Unbelievable. Looks like the paper boy. Plays like King Kong.
I love that. Yeah, Glenn Parker was on my show prior to the season starting this past season, and he's like, everybody talks about Bruce Smith and Jim Kelly and all the big names, obviously, but Steve Tasker was not only a baller, in his exact words. He could not only ball, but he was a leader too. Kind of a quiet leader, but was chippy to the team and kind of set guys straight sometimes when they needed it, if they needed it. Did you see a lot of that as well?
There's a storm brewing.
There's a storm brewing. But yeah, just the fact that he said Steve Tasker is one of those guys. I mean, we've heard that. It's crazy that so many of these guys say that, and it's kind of like the
it's true.
It's because it's true.
Yeah, no, it definitely is true, but it's
shit like that
it's
every
like
day,
we get a behind the scenes look that we didn't know.
Shit like that every day.
It's normal. He made crazy plays normal.
Look, that it's normal. He made crazy plays normal.
So you mentioned in your playing days, obviously you mentioned what it was like playing with those guys, and what was it like playing for a coach like Marv Levy?
You know what, Marv Levy, I was blessed, man. I played. My high school coach is a Hall of Fame coach. I played for Tom Osborne in Nebraska.
Blessed, man. I played
for Marv Levy.
All
Hall of Fame coaches, man.
Coaches,
so
man.
You take something different from each one. Marv Levy was like who's the coach for the Bulls?
Phil Jackson.
Like he was cerebral. You know what I mean? Like he would tell you something one day, and it wouldn't hit you till like 2 or 3 days later. Like that, Like if you actually think about it, and the way they drafted. And he told me, I was like, Coach, what was the game plan? He's like, we didn't try to draft people on their crazy ability. We draft character people. High character people. And when you draft high character people, you're going to get a high character product. So we could play football, but check that. We had a bunch of love for each other. A bunch, it's a family.
Definitely.
And Buffalo's like that. You know what I mean? It's a bunch of blue collar, work hard, love your family, take care of your kids. That's Buffalo. And that's why the mafia is where the mafia is. It's just we getting back to that, which is exciting. It's exciting to get back to that. With so many years we didn't. You kind of watch it from the corner of your eye. I want to watch that. But now I'm like, I'm about to go back. Go back to a game. You know what I mean? It's different now.
Yeah, definitely. When was the last time you were in town for a game?
Last time I was in town for a game, it was Thurman's when he retired Thurman's jersey. It was against the Patriots a couple years ago.
That was a fun night. Yeah, that was a fun night.
Yeah, that was stupid. We had a blast.
That was stupid. We had a blast.
We had a blast, man. And you got, just Daryl Talley, man. And just people that, the heart and Daryl Talley's the heart and soul of the team.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Jared, you got any nuggets that you want to add in terms of guys that jumped out at you during that time while we get Nate back on here?
Nate showed us a picture on his Facebook, and I think he's probably had this before, but he's sitting there with Yarnell Jordan, Thurman Thomas, Andy Davis, Don Smith, Gardner. And then Nate fell. That was awesome. Back days where they used to carry five run in game to see all those guys. Oh yeah, I've had every one of those guys football come. And they're so awesome. I love them. But it was a fun time back play.
That's awesome.
I shared Nate's touchdown pass to the Patriots. I love that Patriots. But Frank Reich took it in for down. And I was like, yeah. I remember all of
that.
Right.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, Nate, that's so cool. I always love I love hearing stories from you guys about what it was like to play in that era. I mean, everybody on that team was a rock star. I mean, everybody was.
Right.
It was great.
We were family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had Glenn Parker had a piece of land, right? And so we decided one day we're gonna as a team we're gonna paintball. We're gonna play war paintball. So everybody ran to the not Salvation Army, but the Army Navy surplus store and bought outfits and, paintball guns. We were out there shooting each other. Man, it was a blast. You know what I mean? It was a blast.
Oh, I wish that.
Yeah, that would have. That I was about to say. I'm sure you guys might have some pictures laying around of that. That'd be really funny. I know.
Oh yeah.
That's really awesome.
I actually have a question.
I actually have a question for you. Yeah, you fire away, Jared. Fire away.
So you talk about family, Nate. If you can go back and play one more, would it be with your high school family? Up with visit Nebraska, or with the Buffalo Bills again?
You know what I'd say Buffalo.
Okay.
Because of so many things I learned and saw. You know, I saw some pretty incredible things. Like Steve Tasker stuff, Jim Kelly stuff, Andre Reed stuff. Bruce Smith against the Colts one year. Like if Bruce gets really pissed off, like you can't snap the ball. Like there's nothing you can do. You can't run. You can't pass. You can do nothing. And I was like, why don't he do that all the time? You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, he's pretty awesome anyway. But he had got pissed off about something, and like he was then intercepting handoffs. And just to stand there and watch it, that was that whole bad thing. Bad things, man. The Nike commercial.
He was that dude for sure. He'll always be that dude, People that meet him, they're like, man, you look a lot nicer than you did when you were playing. You know what I mean? He's always been a nice guy, but man, he if I had met him in his playing days, he's intimidating for sure. He intimidates anybody, right?
Well, you remember
yes,
intimidation.
Yeah, definitely. So, as far as talking about this current running back room, one of your former teammates recently, Nate, Jim Kelly, he kind of made a little bit of a comment in regards to the current room, and said that he just wished that the Bills kind of took some pressure off of Josh Allen, and did so by getting more of an elite running back. And a lot of fans agree with him, and a lot of fans are like, hey, well, we got some good guys. Let's see what these guys can do. Where do you sit in terms of that? Where do you? I'd like to get your take on that.
The thing is, getting an elite guy would be awesome. But there aren't that many elite guys out here for real. I mean, we were blessed to have Thurman. You know what I mean?
Right.
And sometimes when you're blessed to have something, you think it happens all the time. And it doesn't. You know what I mean? I mean, Cook has the ability to be that. And maybe he's only his second year. Maybe he'll turn into that.
It's only his second year. Right.
Yeah, he might turn into that. But Jim is correct. You need to take some pressure off of Josh.
Yeah, that I agree with him on.
Because he is running the show by himself, and I don't like it. I don't like it because you just look at what's the kid in Baltimore, Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
He wants money. But okay, you're one of the top guys in the league, but there's a reason why you're not healthy. Because you're doing too much of that damn running around. And Josh sometimes does that. But Josh is a different animal also. He's also LeBron James and Cleat. So if you 6'5", 250, you can do things like that. You can. Josh Allen is Cam Newton when Cam Newton was good. It's almost their game is almost exactly the same. I mean, Josh is a lot more accurate passing. But as far as running around and throwing their body around, it's the same. It looks like the same thing to me. And you have to get away from that. If you don't get away from that, you're going to end up losing the guy, making him ending his reign before it should be over.
And that's a big thing. I mean, Jim Kelly had an 11-year career with the Bills. 3 of it was in the USFL, and obviously the era that you guys played in was much more football than today. I'll just say that, and I think that's the most respectful way that I could say it. Obviously, is that it was more football then than it is now. But in terms of everything that you just stated, if this were to continue, Nate, I mean, we're not talking about Josh Allen playing for the Bills for 15 years. We're talking about him playing for the Bills for 10. That's the part that, or 8. Right. That's the part that really concerns me, and I agree with Jim on that.
But Jim didn't have to run around either.
Right.
Matter of fact, Jim wasn't gonna run around.
No.
If you ran a 5.7 40, you wouldn't run around either. But Jim could throw that thing, man.
Jim could throw that thing.
That's for sure. Man, that's for sure.
Dan Marino didn't run around.
Man, yeah, those teams were really something.
Dan Marino didn't run around.
Nope. It's a good thing, Nate, and I always say this, but it's a good thing, Nate, that YouTube exists, because for the generation that didn't really get to experience it as much, it definitely pays off turning YouTube on and being able to see those highlights and see how good that team was and how special they were. So, bringing back a lot of memories for Bills fans. And we had a comment that was a great comment. Not only was it a great time to be a player on the Bills, it was a great time to be a fan, obviously, watching that team. No doubt about that. So, I want to get to a big topic that's important to you. It's important to me, and it's important to Jared for sure. And that's passing the torch and doing good in your community, trying to help the youth, and doing all these positive things that don't get talked about enough. I mean, anyone that does any sort of volunteering or anything, it's one of those things that, well, yeah, I do this, but the people that do it, they don't want to really let people know that they do it, because they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart, not for the adulation that you get to receive, from doing it. So, but in your case, I want to throw you some positive vibes, as the kids say these days, in terms of what you're doing in your community, for the youth and instilling football wisdom. Talk to us about that a little bit. Obviously, that's really important to you, and it's important to me as well.
Well, here in Chicago, man, it's a lot of underserved kids. You know what I mean? It's a lot of kids who, the male figure in their life is gone for whatever reason, whether they were killed, whether they were incarcerated, whether they just aren't there. You know what I mean? And I was blessed to have my father around, and then I was blessed to play for 3 other fathers. You know what I mean? In my career, and and play for Marv and Tom Osborne and Frank Linty here in Chicago. So I was blessed by having a bunch of examples of being a good man. So, what I decided is I'm gonna step out here and do some stuff for these kids. So we had both my boys are quarterbacks, and their coach told me, he's like, man, I'd do a free camp in Chicago. I was like, okay. So we're gonna put it together, and you're gonna do it. He's like, okay. So I got the funding together, and we got some nice shirts and put it together. And it was an awesome camp, man. We had like 45 kids came out from Chicago Public School System. We had a quarterback camp. Then, some underserved, different community. Both my sons are half Puerto Rican. So we decided we're gonna go to the Puerto Rican neighborhood, and I'm gonna let you two run the camp. So both, my oldest son, Dakota, is 25, and my youngest, he's a quarterback at St. Xavier here in Chicago. He's 19. So I let them run the camp, and it was awesome, man. Youth camp, see all the little kids running around.
Yeah, I mean, I saw his Facebook, and he's proud of his boys. And it was something nice to follow.
So the thing that happened was we got these ages 6 through 13, right? This kid walks in, I'm like, damn, he must be getting ready for the draft. This is what I'm really thinking. I'm like, this kid, how tall are you? 6'5". How much you weigh? 318.
318.
I'm like, Jesus Christ. And then his coach walks in. He's in seventh grade.
Oh God.
He's in seventh grade. And I got a picture with him with all the other kids. He looks like their grandfather, their uncle. And this kid just turned 13. You know, so to be able to reach out and touch, this kid will be a millionaire one day. You know what I mean? And he don't even know it yet.
Yeah.
He shook my hand. His hand engulfed my, it swallowed my hand. This kid is unbelievable and athletic. I was like, his name is Caleb Tucker. Remember that name, Caleb Tucker. One day
Caleb
Tucker get drafted in the first round. But
I'm looking him up.
These, being able to reach out and touch these kids and give them something that they aren't getting is awesome. And I try to teach my boys, you get more by giving than you do by taking or asking. So just give, man. You give, and the cosmos and God, everything, karma, it's all going to work your way because you're giving from your heart for a good reason. And it's not about money. It's not about notoriety. It's about giving back, actually giving back. It's about giving back, actually giving back.
For sure. I love that. I love the idea of giving to others and instilling stuff in the youth from the experiences that we learn with wisdom. With age comes wisdom, right? That's what the cliche is. With age comes wisdom. So definitely appreciate that. Jared, you got any questions for Nate here on the show tonight?
No, I think you touched up on a lot of the stuff. And it was awesome listening to Nate express his glory days with the Buffalo Bills. I'd like to touch his brain a little bit more with the Nebraska talk, but
yeah,
fire
away. I'm sure he loves reliving that.
Going to the NFL. How's that?
And from what I've been
hearing, glory days, man. The glory days, man.
There it is. Oh man, you've had two. That's two mic drop moments now. not only one but two. That's awesome. Playing in Nebraska though, what was it like? That atmosphere probably actually helped you prepare a little bit for the college-esque atmosphere that is in Buffalo, right? With the fans and
Buffalo
and
is
the fever and all
college
that.
Nebraska fans are the best fans on earth. As far as when I say, I mean like good people, like so we would play like Iowa State, you know, and I'd be eating hot dogs by the second quarter. We beat them 75-3. When they leave, our fans would get up, standing ovation as they left. That's just Nebraska. That's how those fans are. It's just different. It's a different place. It's a different place, man. It's all about the game. It's all about the love of the game. But you know, it's like Buffalo, but different. You know, it's hard working. It's just farmers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's hard working. Rednecks. You know, these dudes have been out on the farm all day with their necks beat red. Just unbelievable, man. You know what I mean? Just the hard working dudes, and they respond and react and love a hard working player.
That's great.
That's just the best part of it, because that's all I was. You know what I mean? It's just a hardworking kid that ended up being a hardworking kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that ended up being, when you get respect from players, not from players, but from fans, the same way that you get respect from the players. And Buffalo's the same exact way, because they know. They've seen it. You know what I mean? They seen it when the mills start closing, things start changing. Buffalo changed, man. It changed when all that happened, and all those hardworking people had to figure it out. They didn't cry. They figured it out. And that's a lot of, too many people nowadays, when things happen, they can't pivot and figure it out. They're just going to a tank, and when things happen, oh my God, they just lose it. When you just in life, just like in football, they start shutting something down. You got to do something different. And that's the good thing about Buffalo, is that those people know how to pivot, man. They pivot. Except for the one time, the big pivot when we were losing to Houston, and everybody left the stadium.
They pivot to get back in.
They pivot to get back in. Right.
Was that the game that like 48 million people attended that didn't?
Yes. Everybody was there.
Wasn't that the one?
Everybody was there on Earth.
Oh, I know so many people that still say they went to that game, and I'm like, no, you didn't. You weren't there.
Right.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, you mentioned your college coach at Nebraska. Who was that? What was his name?
Osborne.
You mentioned it,
Osborne.
but Osborne, right? Tom Osborne. Yep. And what was he like in comparison to Marv Levy? You said they were both father figures.
You know what? Same type of guy. Marv would curse though.
Not Marv Levy.
No, Tom Osborne would say, "Gosh darn it, or dag nabbit, and you were in trouble." He might as well went into a Richard Pryor epithet.
Okay.
Dadgummit. If he said dadgummit, you were in trouble. But he, he never said a cuss word. He was always honorable to us. Even with when you think so, when he retired, he became senator, Republican senator. So we never realized he was Republican. Because there was no place for that. He never mentioned that to us. There was no place for that. He was all about football with us. He never mentioned any of that. And that's just something you notice when you grow up. You got Democrats, you got Republicans. He was Republican the whole time. He treated me wonderfully.
When you grow up, you see you got
wonderful. All the black kids. It was just all the black kids. It was just he's just a good man. You know what I mean? A good man. We had a reunion. I think it was like in 2005, 2004. And it was an all-class reunion. So it was everybody from every era. I stood by him for about 20 minutes, and he knew everybody's name. How's your mother Ellen doing? He knew everybody's everything.
Wow.
Unbelievable. How does he know all of this? Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, Coach Osborne's unbelievable.
That's crazy.
But these guys are getting older. Man, I saw Marv not too long ago. I did some signing stuff. They still every now and again, especially after the first run we had a couple years ago, when it was a big thing for the older Bills to sign stuff. This guy told me, "Yeah, man, come downtown. I give you $1,000, sign some stuff." I'm thinking he's got 15 things. Man, he had a whole hotel room full of things. And it was the three people that lived in Chicago area. Me, Marv, and Don Beebe. Don was coming later, and Marv was after me. He, it was like it was right. Was it during COVID? It might have been during COVID because we all had masks on. But Marv is awesome. Man. And the first thing he asked me, can you still run down on kicks? I'm like, yeah, no, coach. I'm not running down any more kicks. And so all this stuff, and Steve was awesome, but everything was schemed for Steve. And I don't know if you remember this, but they used to have linemen in the wedge on kickoff return. In the middle of the wedge, would be linemen. My job as a wedge buster is to run down before Steve and bust up the wedge.
Yeah.
So all my concussions come from kickoff.
In high school ball, we played against a team that had a wedge buster, and I was part of the kickoff return. But sometimes I'd be getting thrown in the wedge, and this guy you could hear screaming coming down the field, and he was a bigger kid. And I didn't want nothing to do with that.
Yeah, it's a grown man situation.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Kickoff, and punt return, kickoff return, grown man situation. Because there's not a lot of superstars doing it. So everybody's trying to make a name for themselves. Mm-hmm. The superstars on the sideline.
Yeah.
You got me and Mark Maddox running down trying to kill people.
You did.
Fantastic. Right. You know what I mean?
You guys didn't try. You guys did.
Yeah.
True.
I've seen some of you guys busting. I mean, it's just you guys are running down with your 4 or 5 speed, just killing people.
I saw Cornelius Bennett hit this dude, and it was almost like as he was touched by Cornelius Bennett, like Cornelius Bennett's shoulder hit the guy, like kind of on the shoulder, collided. The guy was just lifeless almost instantaneously.
His soul left his body.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was the team was just so the speed, the ferocity on defense, special teams was insane. The offense was obviously legendary. I mean, the team was flawless. You know, there was no weaknesses.
It's because we really cared, man. Like truly, honestly cared, man. Like truly, honestly cared. I don't see a lot of that anymore. I don't see a lot of that anymore. You see it with Kansas City. With the Bills, you see it with Kansas City. You starting to see it with Cincinnati. But right. And the Eagles are starting to get it too right now.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see when people care about each other for real, it turns into a different game. You know, just like when you were in high school, you with those guys all the time. You in class, gym class, study hall, partying on the weekends. So those are your brothers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are your brothers. So you can, when somebody says, I die for my brother. Yeah, I get that. But when you get that on the professional level, yeah, then you have something special. Then you have a team that go to 4 Super Bowls in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Do you think anybody will ever do that again?
No.
Go to 4 in a row? I don't.
No.
Right?
But you know what? The thing with us, we were so worried about getting back. I don't know if you remember. We're getting back. Right. And then we forgot about winning.
You were just trying to get
back.
The
whole push was to get back. And then when we got back, you can kind of feel the air go out the room. It was weird, man. It was a weird time. And then the first half of the second Dallas game when we were winning.
Mm-hmm.
When we went to the locker room, it wasn't like we were winning. You know what I mean?
I heard that.
It was different. It was different. It was weird. It was like, what's going on? And everybody's waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dallas has, the most incredible offensive line ever put on the field. Emmitt Smith is really average. And so now he running through holes you could drive cars through. You know what I mean? Emmitt was good. But he went 10 years without getting touched. He was in secondary. That's why you never hear him talk about that Walter Payton record. Because that offensive line in Dallas, they were grown as me.
Larry Allen, you could just throw one name out there. Larry Allen, moved people.
Eric Williams,
yeah.
Stepnoski.
I think that's right. Yeah. Lyman. Yep.
Yeah. Then they had Moose.
Yeah.
Daryl Johnston. Yeah.
They were loaded for bear. And so when they decided, we're gonna run the ball, there's really not much you can do.
Nope.
Not much you could do.
Yeah. They had the outside threats with Irvin and Harper. So.
Yeah. And Troy was pretty solid, right? I mean,
rock solid.
Yeah.
Everybody was
I'm understating it. He was very, very good.
Oh yeah, no, they were all very good. But we had them on the ropes.
Right.
We let them off the hook.
Yeah.
Because we beat them. Did we beat them that year during the season or year before? That year.
I think it was that year. Yeah. Yeah. Was it in Dallas?
Right? That's the year you guys beat the Giants, the Redskins, and Cowboys.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's stop talking about Cowboys.
It was similar. It was similar in 1990 as well. They played the Giants and beat the Giants pretty badly, and then in the Super Bowl they came up short.
The beginning of the Dark Empire. With what's his name? The head coach from New England.
Belichick.
Bill.
He's the defensive coordinator. He the one figured it out.
Yeah, he did.
He was like, you know what? Let Thurman run. We'll worry about everybody else.
The worst thing about that is he said let Thurman run, but he got more yards than what we really wanted to let him get. Which is 100 and something or something.
Yeah,
but
he ran for like $138, and he's like, he ran for more yards than we wanted him to. We just let him run because we didn't want Jim to get it to Andre or to Lofton or to Don Beebe. That was the problem that everybody had. So
yeah, that offense wasn't on the field for a half hour at least.
And people don't talk about Keith McKellar. You know, Keith McKellar is the reason it's called the K Gun. A lot of people think that the K Bun's from Jim Kelly. That's from Keith McKellar.
Right.
Yep.
Now you touched on Nate, and I think this is a good talking point that many people would want to know. That it felt like the air was coming out of the room when you guys were going into halves of a Super Bowl that you were winning. Why, in your opinion, like if you tried to wrap your head around that looking back, why was that? Why did it seem like the air would come out of the room when you guys were actually doing well?
I think it's just
because I got there. I played in the last two Super Bowls, so I missed the first. So I wasn't as used to the other shoe dropping as everybody else. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm like, what the hell y'all doing? You know what I mean? Everybody's kind of like walking around like zombies. Like, here we go again.
I totally get that.
But I tell you what, that first Dallas game wasn't even a game.
No.
It wasn't even a game.
Don't you love that one of the best highlights, though, is Don Beebe chasing the guy down?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. But that's Don Beebe. But what type of guys do they draft? Character guy.
Right.
Goes back to the original point, for sure.
How many you see so many things happen nowadays with kids getting in trouble and doing dumb stuff out here on the streets. You didn't hear any of that with us. You might hear something, somebody be at the pier and do something dumb or something like that. But other than that, you wouldn't hear nothing. There would be no police involved.
Right.
Because it was, and I think because we were older team. We were older team of veterans, and like those guys, like Daryl Talley and James Lofton, those older guys will pull you to the side and be like, hey, man, nah, man, that's not how we do it. This is how we do it. You know, and that's the problem with these salaries these guys are making, and you making these crazy salaries before you get to that point in your career. Who's going to tell you anything? You know what I mean?
You're right.
This is like when they put that team in Vegas. I knew somebody's going to get in trouble. I knew something was going to happen because you guys making too much money. God, there's no respect from a third-year player to a 10-year player. And so you can't tell me that kid, that wide receiver that ran into that girl and killed her in that car. You can't tell me that somebody didn't tell me, yo, man, you need to slow down.
Right.
You need to pump your brakes. You're gonna make the NFL stand for not for long.
Right.
This is what's gonna happen. You know, so you have to. You know, these one little mistake, or just making an Uber call could change your life.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with drinking and having a good time. But you have to be responsible. And if you drove or if you know you're going to be drinking, don't drive.
Right.
Trust me, it's a whole lot cheaper to get a limo and kick it and take the limo home. And Daryl Talley told me that. Man, get a limo, man. Then you can do whatever. You can pass out in the back of the limo. You're not going down the street.
Right.
You're not going to run into anybody. You're not going to get a DUI.
Right.
But these guys don't have that senior leadership. Senior leadership. I mean, if you listen to the story, you used to party at Jim's house.
Oh yeah.
Just to avoid that shit.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And those parties, I've heard from multiple Bills. Most of you guys don't really remember them. So it's not like there's memories to be had because they were so good that you don't remember them, right? Yeah. Like that's a party where you don't remember.
Danny Kelly used to take your keys.
Okay.
When you get to the house.
That's awesome.
That's smart.
Yep.
And that's one of those things. Whatever happens behind closed doors happens behind closed doors. But at least you guys were, cognitive enough to say we're not going to go out and drive around and bring attention to what happened at Jim's house. Or you're responsible, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, that's one thing. You learn.
That's one thing.
How to be responsible. Because trust me, Bruce and them did all the dumb shit early.
That's what I was gonna say too.
They were doing dumb. When I was in high school, they were doing the dumb stuff. So they figured it out. They figured it out.
Yeah, in the late '80s, they were called the Bickering Bills because they were trying to figure it out.
Right. It's a great point.
And they did. You live, you learn.
Yeah, they definitely did.
You live, you learn.
You live, you learn, and man, what a great show. This was fully loaded for sure. Now to end the show, I want to provide Bills fans with a little bit of hope, obviously, because right now we're in an off season that we thought we'd be coming off of this last season as Super Bowl champs. I know I did. I thought they were going to win it this year. I really did, and I know Jared did as well, and I can speak for Scott and Swank and say that they thought this was the year, probably. I want to get your thoughts, Nate, on, we talked about the past. What do you feel the Bills need to do in today's day and age to get back to the Super Bowl to where you guys were in the future?
They're not far off, man. They're not far off.
All right.
They're not far off. I think they get get Josh to stop running around so much. Stop putting so much on his shoulders. And let the hopefully we get number 40 back, right? 100% healthy.
Right.
That's a game changer right there. We didn't have him. That's a game changer.
Right.
They say DeMar might be coming back. So
That'd be interesting to see.
I mean, wow. I mean, everything that we touched on with that, the fact that this guy could potentially continue his career, and it's looking like it's more than potentially. It's looking like he is going to continue to play. From everything I'm hearing, from some pretty valid people around here, that he's on the up and up, and he's more likely than not to play. But yeah, you mentioned Von Miller not having him. What else do you think needs to happen in order for the Bills to get from that point A to point B of winning a championship?
I think we're right there, man. I think it was emotion.
Mm-hmm.
It's just way too much stuff happened.
I agree.
Yeah, we look at these guys as superheroes, like they can. A lot of us were like, they're going to use this as the edge to get over and to win, which in reality, they're humans.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to take a toll eventually, and it did. And it's very understandable. And that's how I look the season.
That for the Gipper stuff works, but it don't work all the time.
No.
Right.
Especially when you see a kid die. The game is different from that point forward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember when we were playing bocce at Ilio Diapolo's.
Yeah, I've been there.
We were playing bocce. So we were watching. It was a Monday night game. We were watching the Raiders play somebody. And Napoleon McCallum got hit in the knee, and it dislocated his knee, and it went backwards.
Oh.
Listen, we went to practice that. Next day. Nobody wanted to touch anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody.
I believe it.
It was crazy. It does something to you. So that did something to me.
Damn storm.
The storm of storms. No, definitely. I mean, this was a great show. I've enjoyed every minute of it. I mean, what access could you rather have than this, right? Pretty crazy.
Oh, yeah, Nate is pretty sweet, man. It's been awesome listening to him talk.
Yeah, I feel like I could do this all night long. It won't though, but I feel like I could. Yeah, Nate, you mentioned
like that Joe Theismann. Nobody wanted to play after that. Did that thing. Nobody wanted to play after that. He did this afterwards.
Right, yeah.
He was like, thumbs up. You don't see a kid give a thumbs up. You like, and then you weren't worried. You were like, is he gonna make it? You were like, is he gonna make it? They had to pull out the defibrillator to start his heart. They had to pull out the defibrillator to start his heart. Nobody ever seen nothing like that before. No. So yeah, you know what? I bless those kids for sticking in there as long as they could. They were talking about playing the game as long as they could. And then coach was like, "In no way." And then coach was like, "There's no way we can continue this game." He's like, "There's no way we can continue." And there's no way they can say anything different. And there's no way they. That's how I know that was. That's how I know when they crowded around him like that, so nobody could see. Had to be something crazy going on. Had to be something. And I was like, and everybody saw it because you see it on their face. And everybody saw it because you see it on their face.
Yeah, emotion was just pouring out.
Definitely.
So yeah, that's the game has changed, man. The game has changed, man. It's changed. And hopefully, I think a way for DeMar to protect itself start flying around a little bit. Don't worry about the penalties, man. Fly around. Because if you don't, you put yourself in a worse situation. Now you're sitting duck.
Right.
That's the first thing I learned playing against the Raiders. Don't stand around the pile looking around. Because Ronnie Lotta hit you in your back.
He's done it before.
After the play.
Yeah.
I love that.
Don't stand around the pile.
Man, Nate. Yeah, definitely not. Man, Nate, this was an awesome show. Greatly appreciate you being so patient, working through these here and there, audio issues. But man, I had a awesome time listening to you tell stories about your time playing for the Bills and your assessment of the game today. Let the people know where they can follow you, or if you have any causes that of course camps coming up or anything like that they can kind of partake in possibly.
I know he's probably coming back here, but if you guys can, go to Nate Turner's Facebook page and vote for him to have a motorcycle built for him.
That's awesome.
What? I missed that.
Are you hoping for votes so you can get a motorcycle?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm trying to get that motorcycle, man. I couldn't have it back when I was playing. You know what? Yeah, built for you. Yeah, I was like, I'm trying to get that motorcycle, man. And I'm doing pretty well. I'm like number 2. When I was playing, it's amazing. I'm like number 2. Good. It's amazing.
I'll share it. I'll get you some votes for sure.
Oh, yeah. Come out, man. Come out and vote. Don't cost nothing, man. Come out and vote. Don't cost nothing.
Awesome.
Well, like Ryan said, Nate, it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you for talking with us. I definitely want you back on in the future to talk football with us again. If you're up for it.
Of course, as do I. Yeah, that'd be great. Great time.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for hopping on, Nate.
Hey, man, anytime. Hopefully, it's not. It's still raining crazy here. Hopefully, it's crazy thunderstorms, tornadoes.
Yeah,
but
be safe,
anytime,
please.
Bro. Anytime you need me, I'm here. Just hit me, let me know. Anytime you need me, I'm here. Just hit me, let me know.
Definitely
you gotta hit us with a Go Bills before you leave, Nate. You gotta hit us with the Go Bills before you leave.
Where would you rather be? Than right here. Right now. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
If it's too tough for them, Nate, what's the rest?
It's just right for us.
There you go, man.
It's just right, genius, man.
That's awesome. I love it. Nate Turner, ladies and gentlemen, former Buffalo Bill, joining us on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast and 24/7 Buffalo Fandemonium. Nate, it was a pleasure. Appreciate you all tuning in. Bills Mafia, plenty of great content coming. Stay tuned. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.